Hi, it's Blake, and I am going to create the next roads validation only project for activation. So I have loaded, you'll notice I have Bing imagery and DG turned off, and I have the data layer, which is the task squares from the previous project, and that's always what I start with. So they're kind of hard to see. Let's see here. They're kind of hard to see. So that's the task. Okay. Backspace gets rid of stray points. Select tool S. So that's the grid that I have to start to work with, and I need to try and cover populated places. And these need to be something that's reasonable to download for data. And all this high density housing is hard to download for data. And it almost needs its own. But that's something to keep in mind. Yeah, anyhow, this high density stuff here really needs, these need to be tight because the task squares come out much too large. It's a lot of data to review. So this is going to be a challenge for the next step of a JOSM roads validation only project. Because they download all of the OpenStreetMap data over a wide area, you often get timeout errors. And they should basically be validating about 1 meg of data, which is the timeout limit. So when you create these projects, you just need to make sure you pay attention to these highly dense squares. And it's tough because it's a mix of highly dense, but we also need them to cover much more rural. So it's two dramatically different task square sizes that we want to put in one project, and that's hard to do. So just make sure that if they can split twice and get to a reasonable size in these high density areas, then that's okay. But if they can split twice and then it's still an unreasonable size, then that's not okay. But I'm primarily concerned with the AOI at the moment. But that's what I need to take into consideration. And I want to try and avoid places where there is nothing. So I'm working off of the original task boundary, or the previous project boundary rather. And so I'm just going to start drawing. I'm going to hit escape and I'm just going to start drawing. And I don't need to touch every one, I just need the outline, or I just need what I call the edge. So I'm just going to get the edge of that, and honestly, it looks like we should go to about here. And then I'm just going to start going up. And I'm going to try and keep this tight, but I'm going to keep in mind proximity to the coast and size of task squares that are going to end up for this project. These projects should be, should be somewhat tight to the developed areas, but you can see you just have to make some decision because this is all developed area. So I'm going to assume that this looks like some sort of a natural division, and I'm going to go straight across. I mean, even going straight across, this is all highly dense, but this is a fair area. I probably have to make 2 out of this, but this will be a fair area for something to at least work with for the next set of project AOIs, even if this is too large. Even if this is too large to be an AOI itself. And when I click here, where I started on the previous Tasking Manager's tile squares, it's going to close that polygon for me. So that's now a closed polygon, and that's what I need to create projects if this was the right size, but it's not. And here's what I do now. So it's already attached to this existing stuff. This is how I handle it. I come up and I say File, New Layer, Data Layer 1, and it puts my editor there. But I'm going to switch back here, and I'm going to hit my S key. I'm going to go get my Select tool, hit the S key, your Select tool, and I'm going to click on not a part that involves the task squares, and I'm just going to get that whole thing. And then I'm going to go up to Tools, and I'm going to say one of these should be merge. One of these should say merge. Well, I'll just have to tell you that. So anyhow, one of these, somewhere in here it says merge. So I'm going to just do Control-Shift-M, and that will merge it between layers. So now I'm going to put it on data layer 1. And now I'm just done with this data layer. I just turn it off. I've matched it. I just work from here from now on. S for the select key, and I know that this edge follows the previous project perfectly. You know, if this was right, I could just go with this, and now I'm going to go up to the data layer. First, I'm going to save it as an OSM file, so just plain old save, and I'm going to give it a relevant name like, you know, Florida OSM US after 124, which I think is the current project. So that tells me exactly what this is, roads only, roads validation. So a relevant name, and I'm going to say save. And then I'm going to go right back up here, and I'm going to choose save as. And now I say save as, and I'm going to save it as a GeoJSON because the tasking manager wants a GeoJSON, but I want the OSM so I can edit it later because I'm probably going to have to make this 2 anyway. So I would just delete that because otherwise the extensions get funky. And then you want to select GeoJSON. You probably need to have like the Open Data plugin installed to be able to read and write GeoJSONs. I'm not sure, but if you can't, go look at your plugins and look for the Open Data plugin and see if that does it. Or search the plugins for the word GeoJSON, and that'll tell you what plugin you need to install. And so save a copy that way, because it'll put the GeoJSON extension on there. And then save a copy that way. And that's it. Now I'd open up the tasking manager, and I'd look and I'd see how these tasks sizes turned out. And I would say, I'm going to have to make this more than one project, and then I would start doing the process of doing that. And I would start from exactly here, and now I would start dividing this. So I would come back into this, and you start to do a little bit of this and that. You know, I might divide it this way, and I might make, you know, this one project, and then this another project. Or maybe that's not a good division. You know, maybe it probably needs to be a horseshoe shaped. This probably needs to be its own project, and then the rest of this probably needs to be its own project. That way I can get the right task square size here and the right task square size out here. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.